Now we will understand the interview tips for the interviewer. Many times when a person has been selected for a particular job, it is found that the person selected for the job is not suitable for the job. He has to be given extensive training. Normally, we also have to give training to a new or a fresh recruit, but in the case of some persons who are found most unsuitable for the job, they have to be given extensive training before they are put to job, and then they show some results. It has been also found that many times even the best selected candidates do not adjust themselves with the job, and after working for few months or few weeks, they leave the job. Or sometimes even the best candidates are not able to give the good performance. It is to be noted that while selecting the candidate, only the qualities of the candidate are not to be considered. The success of the interview process also depends on this point, that whether the interviewer himself or herself is also having good education and is having the skills or the qualities which an interviewer should have. So while carrying out the interview process, the interviewer should also be selected with caution. He should be the best person who is selected for the interviewer, because the interviewer has to select the candidate who is to fill the job and to work for the company. Most interviewers need to brush up their skills and techniques in conducting effective interviews. Now, what are the various tips which the interviewer should have? First is understand the company's needs. The person who is taking the interview, that is the interviewer, should understand the company's needs. He should understand what is the nature of the job for which the candidate is to be selected. What are the various responsibilities which the candidate will have to perform when he is selected for the job. The interviewer should also guess or anticipate what type of questions the candidate may put to the interviewer to learn about the job or the company. So the interviewer should already make up his mind what the answer he will have to give to the candidate if the candidate asks him about the company or the job responsibilities. Next point is learn the candidate. When the candidate applies for the job, he writes about himself or herself in the resume as well as in the job application. When the person is to be called for the interview, the interviewer should go through the resume as well as the job application, so that he may learn about his qualifications, his working experience, as well as his special achievements. If any special achievements have been mentioned by the candidate in his resume or in his job application, the interviewer may ask questions about the special qualification. When he will ask the question, the replies given by the interview candidate will reveal more about the nature or the qualities or the skills of the candidate. Next, third point or third tip is settle logistics. The interviewer should find out whether he will have to take the interview in person or the interview will be take place online. If the interview is to take place online, the interviewer should check in advance whether the communication lines, where that is the mobile or telephone or the computer is working fine, whether the audio or the video system is working fine. In either case, whether the interview is to take place online or it is to take offline, the interviewer should secure a comfortable and quiet room in the office for the interview slot. Next tip is prepare the candidate. It is not that you call the candidate hurriedly to come for interview. You should write a proper letter or email to the candidate and inform him about the timing of the interview, where the interview is to be conducted, and what is the approximate duration of the interview. For that purpose, you may also write an email to the interview, and a specimen of the same has been given here. You may alter the same as per the requirements. When you are calling the person for the interview, you may also tell him what documents he or she should bring along with him. Next point is create a comfortable atmosphere. As you know that when a candidate comes for the interview, he may be very nervous, though he or she may have all the qualities or all the skills required for the job, but due to his nervousness or stress of the interview, he or she may not perform well, because it may be quite possible that he or she may be appearing for the interview for the first time. So as an interviewer, you can smile warmly when you respond to the interviewer's greetings. You should offer your hand for a handshake. All these actions of yours will reduce the anxiety level of the candidate. Next point is follow a structure. You may follow a common structure of the interview, starting with personal introduction and overview of the open position. After that, you can begin the interview with the questions about the candidate. The interviewer can ask the candidate, where are you from? What are your interests or hobbies? In general, the interviewer has to create a non-threatening environment. If the environment is suitable, that is, it will not create nervousness in the mind of the candidate, then the candidate will be able to show his actual personality. When the atmosphere is proper, the candidate can also reveal some of his attributes which are not known otherwise if the environment is nervous. After that, you can ask some specific questions. It may happen that the interviewer may ask one question, and when the candidate is developing the answer of the question in his mind, and in the meantime the interviewer asks second question, this should not be done. The interviewer should give proper time to the interviewee so that he or she can give response to the question properly. The tendency to hurry questions one after the another should be avoided. The interview can be concluded with questions from the candidate. You may allocate an approximate length of time for each part of the structure, with an allowance for more time to top candidates. It means that if you want, if you feel that the particular candidate which is before you is the best you can hire him or her, then you can ask some extra questions, or you can devote some extra time to him or her, so that you may make double sure that you are selecting the best candidate for the job. Next tip is, have a best base set of questions. The interviewer should include the same base set of questions in every interview. If he puts the same complex questions to two different candidates in separate interview, the response or the answer given by the candidate can reveal how they respond to the stressful situations. The candidate who gives the reply to the questions in a very calmly and thoughtful manner, then that person is likely the best person for the job. Next, choose a variety of questions and question types. The interviewer may consider having three categories of questions. First category may be technical questions, another set of questions may be relating to work experience, and the third one may be the behavioral or the situational questions. Close ended questions can give you the data about simple key questions. The interviewer can ask the candidate how many years of working experience you have. Open ended questions can encourage the candidates to express themselves freely, which give you a clear idea of their responsibility. For example, you can ask an open ended question such as, can you describe a situation where you had to go above and beyond your job duties to achieve a goal or solve a problem? Then the interviewer may also ask hypothetical questions. Hypothetical means you imaginary questions. Imaginary questions, that is the, you have to tell him a particular situation and you ask him how he will solve or react to a particular situation. For example, you may ask him that, suppose you are working as an in charge of an office and there is a conflict between the customer and your employee. How will you handle the situation? These are the hypothetical questions, and on the basis of the reply given by the candidate, you can learn about his ability to handle the different situations. Next is, watch for non-verbal gestures and cues. Verbal gestures means what is speaking, what is spoken. Non-verbal means those things which are not spoken, but the actions, body language, or the actions of the candidate reveal something about his nature. You, as a interviewer, you can watch for the facial expressions, change in the postures, gestures, eye movements of the candidates. All these non-verbal gestures and cues reveal the important characteristics of the candidate. In this picture, you can see that if a person is having his hands in such a way with thumbs on the upper side, this can give the clue that these are the indications of positive thoughts. If a candidate makes eye contact, nods and takes notes when you speak, and leans forward in conversation, he may be a skilled listener, effective communicator, both of which are valuable skills in the workplace. If a person, while sitting in before you in the interview, touches his necklace, then it may be the indication of discomfort, doubt, or insecurity. Next point is take notes during the interview. As you know that when you are taking the interview as an interviewer, a large number of candidates will appear before you for the interview. Then it will not be possible for you to remember whether a particular candidate has performed well in the interview or not, or what which person or candidate should be selected. For that purpose, you may written something about the candidates, whether you can also give some marks to the candidates, that or you can make a list of the particular traits which the person may be having, so that at the last you can summarize as to who is the best candidate which should be selected for the job. Taking notes is necessary not only for evaluating their merits but also for comparing them with others. Next tip is strike a balance. As an interviewer, avoid speaking more than the candidate. That is, during the interview, as an interviewer, you are not to speak more than the candidate. You are to allow the candidate to speak more. As an interviewer, aim for an approximately 80-20 split in the conversation. That is, the candidate's time during the candidate's time for speaking should be 80%, and the time approximate time for the interviewer should only be 20% of the total interview time. Next tip for the interviewer is impartial evaluation of the candidates. Every person have his own beliefs, thoughts, or the capabilities or the skills. When we are sitting as an interviewer, we think that the other person we are selecting for the job should also have the same skills or capabilities. It should not be so. When we are recruiting a person for the job, we should only be concerned about the particular qualifications which are, or the qualities or the skills which are required from a person for that particular job. But it is very difficult for a human being to be totally impartial. So it may also be possible that you can also have another person with you as an interviewer, or the best alternative may be that you may have a predetermined format for the interview, and you can take the interview on the basis of that format only, wherein you can write about the various qualities of the candidate, whether he is having or not having. You can tick the same as and when a person comes for the interview. Before holding an interview, it is essential to make a checklist to ensure that you are able to find the best candidate for the job. You can, in that checklist, you can write that is he or she enthusiastic, flexible, and willing to learn. You can also write in it that whether the candidate has right competencies for the job. Next, does his values compatible with company's values? Whether he or she has been able to prove his or her abilities in the past? How does he or she refer to the previous employer or job, positively or negatively? Whether the candidate is a good listener? Next tip is advising the candidate. Suppose you are conducting an interview and the person on the other side, that is the candidate, is a person who is very earnest, shy, and serious type of guy. It is quite possible that she has performed very well in the interview and he has given reply to the answers very satisfactorily, and she is the best candidate. You can select him for the post of customer service executive, but you have observed that the candidate is shy and serious type of nature, but as a customer service executive these qualities may not match with the job's at qualities. In other words, the qualities of the candidate which is before you do not match with the job requirement. You feel that your organization is a culture of openness and informality. In that situation the candidate does not fit in. You can softly tell the candidate that company expectations seek a different attitude or personality type. You can suggest the candidate different positions which may be there in the organization. You can also tell the candidate to do some soul searching and aptitude before applying for a job. Closing the interview. Now you need to close the interview in a very professional and respectful manner. You can ask, you can take the following steps. You can thank the candidate. You can ask him if he has any questions. You can also tell him what will be the next process in the interview of the hiring process. You can also tell him about the what will be the likely salaries. Thanks for watching. If you like our course, please spare some time to give a star rating to our course.